How well can we ever truly know those we admire? In the realm of faith and trust, where we turn to leaders for guidance, the reality can sometimes be more complex than we wish to believe. Today, we embark on an extraordinary journey that exposes the intricate layers of betrayal, love, and the deeply personal choices that intersect with faith itself. Join me as I dive into the shocking scandal of a priest who resigned after an affair with a harlot, and I'll try to uncover the truth behind this jaw-dropping story. In a scandal that sent shockwaves through the community, a priest has resigned after it was discovered he was having an affair with a harlot. The news has left many reeling, and today, we're going to dive deeper into the story and try to understand what led to this dramatic fall from grace. But what happens when that same figure, a symbol of trust, makes a life-altering decision? What unfolds when the priest, an individual held in high esteem by so many, suddenly steps away from his calling and resigns from the priesthood? This shocking choice reverberates through the community, raising countless questions and stirring tangible uncertainty. What could prompt someone so respected to abandon such a revered position? The answer lies in an unexpected relationship, a bold connection that crosses the boundaries of societal norms. The priest has chosen to marry someone considered an outcast by those around him, a woman who has faced judgment and scorn. This isn't just a tale of romance. It's a story that challenges the very foundations of faith and societal expectations. Prepare yourself for a story filled with tension and conflict, a tale that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about love, acceptance, and the often blurred lines between right and wrong in our search for happiness. Together, we will navigate the complex web of relationships that bind us, guiding us through a journey that may leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about trust and integrity. So without further ado, let's step into a story that promises to enthrall you, provoke thought, and perhaps even challenge your perspectives on love and faith. Let us begin our journey by introducing the man at the center of this story, Father Daniel Reynolds. From a young age, Daniel demonstrated a deep sense of purpose and compassion that set him apart from his peers. Raised in a small town, he grew up in a devout family where the values of faith, service, and integrity were emphasized. This nurturing environment shaped his character and propelled him to pursue a life dedicated to the priesthood. Daniel attended one of the most reputable theological seminaries, where he excelled in his studies and quickly became known for his insightful sermons and ability to connect with his congregation. His education not only imbued him with theological knowledge, but also reinforced his innate gift for empathy. After years of diligent study and preparation, he was ordained as a priest, stepping into his role with an unwavering commitment to serve those in need. Upon returning to his hometown, Father Daniel took charge of St. Mary's Church, a beloved institution in the community. As the new priest, he brought with him a refreshing spirit and a vision to foster unity and growth within the church family. His charisma was magnetic. Sermon after sermon, he drew people in, filling the pews with families eager to glean wisdom from his words. Father Daniel emphasized the importance of community, organizing outreach programs to support the needy, as well as family events designed to unite church members. Under his guidance, St. Mary's flourished, with parishioners regularly praising his ability to make even the most complex theological concepts accessible. As the years passed, Father Daniel became more than just a priest. he became a trusted confidant and a guiding force in the lives of many. He officiated weddings, counseled couples through challenges, and stood by families in times of mourning. Through his sensitivity and non-judgmental approach, he earned the trust of those around him. In understanding the rich dynamics of St. Mary's Church, it's essential to recognize the environment in which Father Daniel thrived. The church served as a sanctuary for families, a place where laughter echoed during community events, and where support could always be found. Whether it was the annual harvest festival or holiday services, there was an inviting atmosphere that encouraged parishioners to feel at home. The congregation was diverse, comprising individuals from various walks of life, ages, and backgrounds. Together, they worked to uphold shared values rooted in compassion, kindness, and love. Father Daniel often championed these values, grounding his sermons in the belief that relationships, whether with God or among each other, were to be nurtured and cherished. Within the context of this close-knit community, the beliefs surrounding relationships and marriage were significantly impacted by the teachings of the Church. Many viewed marriage as a holy sacrament, a sacred bond between two individuals that required commitment and devotion. Father Daniel's counsel regarding relationships was widely respected, as he shared insights on the importance of love, communication, and understanding in building a strong marriage. Now, let us turn our attention to a woman named Lily. Unlike the many faces seen in the pews of Father Daniel's church, Lily carried a different story, one marked by hardship, struggle, and ultimately resilience. Growing up in a tumultuous household, she faced challenges that shaped her path from a very young age. Her childhood was riddled with instability. Her parents battled addiction and instability, leading to an environment that was anything but nurturing. Despite these hardships, Lily possessed an indomitable spirit. Even from a young age, she dreamed of escaping her circumstances, envisioning a life filled with love, acceptance, and genuine connection. She longed to be seen for who she truly was, not defined by her past or the choices that would later shape her life. As she transitioned into adulthood, Lily found herself drawn into a world that would forever alter her perception of love and society. Seeking acceptance, she initially became involved in a string of fleeting relationships that ultimately left her feeling more isolated. As societal judgments loomed large, she was pushed into a lifestyle that many could only see through the lens of stigma and misunderstanding. Though labeled a harlot by those who barely knew her story, Lily was a complex individual, navigating her way through the expectations of a world that often looked down upon her. In her heart, Lily carried a sense of longing that was deep. She desired to create a family of her own, to experience love without judgment, and to break free from the chains of her upbringing. Despite her circumstances, she retained a dream of one day finding someone who would embrace her for all that she was, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Now, fate would conspire to create a pivotal encounter between Lily and Father Daniel, forever intertwining their destinies. Their paths crossed one chilly evening when he was conducting an outreach program at a local community center dedicated to helping those facing hardship. As part of his commitment to serving all, Father Daniel did not shy away from the complexities of society, believing that every individual deserved compassion, no matter their past. Lily was drawn to the program out of a curiosity for a different kind of life, one that hinted at community and support rather than judgment. That evening, She sat in the back of the room, listening intently to the priest's words. As Father Daniel spoke about hope and redemption, something stirred within her, a flicker of recognition ignited by his sincerity and warmth. After the session, Lily mustered the courage to approach him. "Thank you for what you said today," she said softly, her voice trembling as she held onto the edges of her jacket. "It means more than you know." Father Daniel looked into her eyes and saw not just a person defined by their lifestyle, but a struggling individual yearning for connection. "You are more than your circumstances," he replied, his voice filled with genuine empathy. "Everyone has a story, and every story deserves to be heard." In that moment, a connection blossomed between them, rooted in understanding and respect. Over time, they conversed frequently, their discussions progressing from brief exchanges to deep conversations filled with vulnerability and authenticity. They shared intimate discussions about their pasts, their dreams, and their fears. For Lily, Father Daniel became a figure of hope, someone who truly saw her. To Father Daniel, Lily represented a truth he had yet to confront, a complexity that challenged his understanding of faith, love, and societal norms. Yet as their bond deepened, the complexities of their relationship began to emerge. Father Daniel found himself grappling with moral dilemmas, drawn to Lily's spirit while also facing judgments from his congregation. He was torn between his duty as a priest and his growing feelings for a woman whose past was at odds with the values he had long championed. As their friendship developed, whispers began to circulate within the church. Some parishioners became aware of the connection between the priest and the woman many had labeled a sinner. The judgment loomed large as they struggled to reconcile their loyalty to Father Daniel with their beliefs about morality and righteousness. When they were together, it felt as though time stood still. Their chemistry was undeniable, an intense connection that carried both excitement and risk. However, in the backdrop, societal judgment was always present, nudging its way into the sacred spaces they had carved out for their bond. With each passing day, Father Daniel wrestled with the realization that his feelings for Lily were evolving into something deeper, something beyond friendship. As the coexistence of love and duty festered inside him, the conflict intensified. He was well aware that falling in love with her could not only jeopardize his standing as a priest, but could also estrange him from the community he had tirelessly worked to build. Whenever he found himself in Lily's presence, the walls of his heart seemed to break down, revealing a vulnerability he had not allowed himself to explore before. They shared laughter, dreams, and intimate looks that spoke volumes of their desires. During their late-night conversations under a starlit sky, Father Daniel began to express thoughts he had suppressed for too long, thoughts about freedom, the beauty of love, and the possibility of a life where societal expectations did not dictate their choices. Lily, too, began to open up in ways she never had before. She shared her past with all its challenges, revealing not only her struggles, but also the hope that flickered inside her. She was not just a woman labeled by her profession. She was a complex individual yearning for acceptance, serenity, and a love that transcended societal labels. "You make me believe I can be more than what others see me as," she confessed one night, her gaze intense yet vulnerable. But as their connection deepened, so did the stakes. Father Daniel faced mounting pressure from church leaders who expressed concern about his growing attachment to Lily. Whispers turned to loud conversations. Fellow priests cautioned him about the moral implications of associating with someone whose past was so scrutinized. "You're a man of the cloth, Daniel. Think about your responsibilities," one of his closest friends warned him during a gathering at the rectory. Inside, Daniel felt torn between his duties and the authentic, raw connection he cherished with Lily. He became increasingly aware of the cognitive dissonance that plagued him. On one hand, the sacred teachings of his faith emphasized love, compassion, and understanding, while on the other, societal norms demanded conformity and judgment. The struggle became a haunting echo in his mind, a constant reminder that to follow his heart could lead to deep consequences. As weeks turned into months, the anxiety surrounding their relationship mounted. They spent moments in silence, grappling not just with their feelings but also with the weight of secrecy. They stole moments together in hidden corners and back alleys where society's gaze couldn't pierce through the disguise of their connection. Yet in every quiet smile and secret laugh, the looming reality was unavoidable. They lived in a world where their bond was considered taboo. It wasn't long before their affection became impossible to hide. A small handful of parishioners had begun to notice the priest spending an unusual amount of time with a woman marked by societal judgment. The whispers grew louder and curiosity flowed into gossip. One Sunday morning, a group of women in the congregation exchanged knowing glances, their voices barely above a whisper. "Have you seen him with her? It's disgraceful. How can he do this?" The tension in Father Daniel's heart matched the rising tide of judgment outside. He contemplated the implications of being with Lily, the disapproval from his church community, and the severe consequences that could follow. Despite his doubts, they continued to meet. Each moment spent with her felt like a refreshing breath, yet he reflected on whether he was sacrificing the work of his mission for something that society deemed unacceptable. Amid this internal conflict, they had shared a beautiful evening during a local festival, filled with laughter and dance. For a brief moment, they embraced their relationship blissfully, devoid of judgment. It was then that Lily, overcome with emotion, turned to Daniel and said, "I want to be with you, Daniel, not just in secret. I want to show the world who we are." Her voice was rife with hope and determination, but Daniel's heart sank at the weight of her words. The reality settled heavily upon him, that she longed for a love that he, as a priest, was increasingly uncertain he could fully give. As Father Daniel wrestled with his heart, he faced the torrent of societal judgment, knowing that the world, beyond their moments of solitude, viewed them through a distorted lens. Unknown to them, the path ahead was set to unfurl a series of events that would force both Father Daniel and Lily to confront their choices head-on. Their budding romance would catalyze change not only in their lives, but also in the community that had come to know and trust the priest they both admired, but for very different reasons. As the realities of their bond began to challenge their lives drastically, they would soon find that love is often as complex as it is beautiful, a force that can inspire and uplift, while also demanding sacrifices that test the limits of loyalty and personal conviction. Life, with all its uncertainties, was about to unfold in ways they had never imagined, drawing both of them closer to the moment that would irrevocably change the course of their lives forever. It was a fateful Sunday, following a particularly stirring sermon that had touched many in the congregation deeply. The church was alive with the energy of shared faith and community. Parishioners lingered longer than usual, exchanging hugs and laughter, captivated by the spirit of togetherness. Amid the joyful chatter, Father Daniel felt the pangs of internal conflict growing sharper. He had just delivered a message about love, compassion, and acceptance, but in the back of his mind lingered the fundamental clash between his duty as a priest and his feelings for Lily. As he walked through the throngs of well-wishers, one familiar face stopped him. Mary, a longtime member of the church, and one of those who had recently noticed Daniel's closeness to Lily. An eyebrow arched, concern in her voice, she said, "Father, we've all noticed you've been a little distracted lately. Is everything all right?" Her words penetrated the veneer of his composure. "Yes, everything is fine," he replied, though he knew that beneath the surface things were far from fine. The tension had begun to bubble to the surface, and he inwardly wrestled with the truth he had been trying to ignore. The whispers, the judgments, and the growing scrutiny from the congregation all combined to create a suffocating atmosphere, leaving him feeling both trapped and exposed. Later that evening, unable to shake the distressful weight of the day, Father Daniel found himself at his desk, the shaky candlelight casting elongated shadows against the walls. Papers lay scattered before him, sermons written blindly, community outreach plans, and notes he had taken during confession sessions. The familiar scents of melting wax and aged wood mixed with the pang of uncertainty in his heart. In that solitude he thought of Lily, remembering the joy she brought into his life, the laughter, the genuine conversations that had caused him to question everything he thought he knew about love and faith. Yet, a sobering realization loomed large. If he continued down this path, he risked losing everything he had dedicated his life to, the faith that had guided him and the community that held him in high esteem. With his heart heavy, he recalled a poignant conversation with Lily from a few nights prior. "You shouldn't have to hide," she had said, her eyes searching his for answers. "We deserve to be happy, Daniel. Life is too short for secrets." Those words echoed through his mind, intensifying the tug-of-war within him. Could he abandon the calling that had brought him fulfillment? Could he forsake the community that looked up to him? Or could he abandon his heart's desire for the sake of societal expectation? The conflict surged to a breaking point as dawn approached, casting a soft glow through the window, illuminating his turmoil. In the quiet stillness of that moment, he realized he could no longer live a life of duality. The love he had for Lily was too strong to be confined to the shadows. He owed it to himself and to her to confront the truth. As the first rays of sunlight streamed through the crevices of his office, Father Daniel made his decision. He would resign from the priesthood. With trembling hands, he gathered his thoughts in a letter, carefully expressing his gratitude to the church and the community that had nurtured him. Each word felt heavy with significance, a bridge between his past and the uncertain future that awaited him. At that moment of truth, he felt both fear and exhilaration, fear of the unknown that lay ahead, but exhilaration at the prospect of pursuing a life built on authenticity and love. Resigning would mean stepping away from his vocation, but it also meant embracing a relationship that came with its own complexities and beauty. The day of his announcement arrived, and the tension was thick in the air as the congregation filed into St. Mary's Church for Sunday service. All eyes were on him, filled with anticipation as they awaited his message. Father Daniel stood behind the pulpit, drawing in a deep breath, steeling himself for the path he had chosen. "Dear friends," he began, his voice resonating throughout the sanctuary, yet trembling with the gravity of what was to come. "Today, I stand before you not just as your priest, but as a man who must be true to himself. He paused, scanning the room filled with familiar faces, filled with fear of the words yet to come. "I have made the difficult decision to resign from my position as your priest," he continued, his heart racing as a murmur swept through the congregation. Confusion and disbelief flickered across the faces of his parishioners, the atmosphere shifting from anticipation to shock. "I want you to know that my journey in faith has been profoundly important to me. I have poured my heart into serving this community, and I am so grateful for the love and support you have given me throughout the years. But I cannot continue to serve you truthfully while denying a part of who I am and the choices I've made." As he spoke, the room was filled with hushed whispers, the weight of his words sinking in. Father Daniel took a moment to catch his breath, his gaze landing on the familiar faces he cherished, feeling a deep sense of vulnerability before them. "I have fallen in love," he confessed, his voice steadying, "and that love is with someone many of you may not understand. Lily is someone who has shown me a side of life that transcends expectations, and being with her has made me realize that our relationships, our connections, are central to our humanity." Gasps echoed through the crowd, and a palpable tension filled the air. He could see expressions of confusion, hurt, and anger flickering across the congregation like shadows. It was clear that many were struggling to comprehend the reality of what they were hearing. To them, Father Daniel was the embodiment of values they held sacred, and now that image was being challenged in ways they had not anticipated. "Love is a profound teacher," Daniel continued, drawing from a reservoir of emotion. "It teaches us about acceptance, forgiveness, and the courage to be true to ourselves. I know that this may be difficult for you to accept, but I cannot in good conscience continue to serve as your priest while leading a life that feels inadequate to who I truly am." The gravity of his decision weighed heavily on him. Yet, in that moment, Daniel felt liberated, as if by shedding the mantle of priesthood, he was finally embracing his truth. After he finished speaking, a moment of stunned silence hung in the air, before the murmurs grew louder, a cacophony of voices expressing disapproval and confusion. Some congregants stood with their arms crossed, staring in disbelief. Others whispered urgently among themselves. Daniel could see Mary, the longtime parishioner who had expressed her concern days earlier, shaking her head in disbelief, her expression a mixture of disappointment and compassion. Yet the most heartbreaking sight came from some of the youths he had mentored, their faces reflecting confusion rather than judgment, as if struggling to reconcile the man they looked up to with the reality he had just presented. "I am truly sorry to those of you who feel hurt by my choice," Daniel said, trying to reach out to them. "Do not think that this has been an easy path for me. I have wrestled with this decision, torn between the love I've devoted to my vocation and the emerging love I feel for Lily. But I chose to honor my heart. I chose to embrace my truth, and I hope that in time you may understand." Father Daniel stepped down from the pulpit for the last time, leaving behind the community that had come to know him as their spiritual leader. The altar, once a place of safety and fulfillment, now felt like a heavy burden on his shoulders. Outside of the church, a world awaited him, one filled with both freedom and challenges. He knew that pursuing a relationship with Lily would accompany trials, judgment, and potential heartbreak. Yet there was also the promise of love, raw, unfiltered love that offered a chance at real happiness. As Lily and Daniel embraced the tumultuous aftermath of his resignation, they faced the world together. However, the initial euphoria they felt quickly became overshadowed by the harsh realities of their situation. The couple was met with judgment not just from the church community but also from broader society. Neighbors whispered when they saw Daniel walking down the street, while others openly questioned how a man of God could choose a lifestyle with someone deemed an outcast. "Have you spoken to anyone from the church?" Lily asked one evening as they sat on a park bench, the twilight casting a gentle glow around them. The air was thick with tension, carrying the weight of unspoken fears about the future. "I've avoided it intentionally," Daniel replied, looking out at the horizon. "I need some time to understand where I fit into this new reality. I love you, Lily, but I'm still processing everything. The reactions have been overwhelming." Lily nodded, a flicker of understanding in her eyes. "It's not just the church, you know. People will talk, they'll judge, but we can't let that dictate our choices. We deserve to be happy, right?" Her words hung in the air, a potent reminder of the hurdles they needed to clear. As the days turned into weeks, they felt the impact of their decision in more profound ways. The once aspirational dreams Daniel had regarding his role in the church now echoed in the silence, replaced by uncertainty and self-reflection. A few days after his resignation, Daniel had been subject to a difficult conversation with an old friend named Mark. "You've turned your back on everything you've stood for, Daniel," Mark accused, disappointment etched across his face. "How can you abandon your calling for a woman like her? Don't you see how it tarnishes your integrity?" This response struck Daniel hard, forcing him to face his internal conflict head-on. He tried to explain his feelings, but realized how difficult it was to communicate the complexities of his heart. "She's a good person, Mark. You don't know her like I do. Our love is real," he countered, frustration seeping into his voice. But for Mark and many others, the stigma surrounding Lily remained unshakable. The weight of these interactions began to take a toll on them as a couple. Every conversation with others reminded them of their precarious situation, one built on love yet judged by society. The honeymoon phase of their relationship quickly evolved into a battleground, where love and commitment were challenged by the harshness of reality. In moments of doubt, both began to wonder if they had made the right choice. Could love truly conquer the societal barriers that pressed against them? Were they prepared for the life ahead, knowing they would always be scrutinized? As they confronted their fears and challenges, they shared heartfelt discussions under the blanket of night, often finding solace in each other's arms. In those intimate moments, they made a pact, a decision to confront every challenge together, to empower one another, and to rise above the judgment that sought to define them. Their connection would be their anchor, allowing them to face the world with unwavering strength. As the couple navigated their unfolding journey, the societal challenges they faced began to catalyze personal growth. Daniel spent time reflecting on his past teachings regarding love and acceptance, acknowledging the gap between theoretical knowledge and real-life experience. He delved deeper into the essence of love, recognizing that it often and perhaps most beautifully manifests in unconventional ways. Meanwhile, Lily pursued her own path of growth, attending support groups that focused on empowering women like her, who had faced societal judgment and struggled for acceptance. In these groups, she found camaraderie and strength, learning not only to embrace her past, but also to redefine it. She started developing a newfound confidence, drawing strength from the stories of others who had overcome similar obstacles. As she learned to navigate life outside the confines of societal expectations, she began to see her worth beyond the labels assigned to her. As the weeks progressed, Daniel's internal conflict began to ease, replaced by a steadfast commitment to Lily and the love they had forged together. He realized that stepping away from the church didn't equate to abandoning his principles. Instead, it represented a transformative journey toward a more profound understanding of love and the nature of connection. However, the decision to fully embrace their relationship and establish their life together was not without its hardships. They faced difficult conversations with family and friends, particularly as he began to consider how he would explain his choice to those closest to him. "I've never been one to shy away from tough conversations, but this one is different," he admitted to Lily one day as they sat together. "I don't want to hurt my family's feelings, but I can't hide who I am." "I'll be by your side, whatever you choose," she replied, squeezing his hand. "You have to speak your truth, Daniel. You deserve to live your life without fear." Emboldened by her support, Daniel began reaching out to his family. It started with soft conversations with his siblings, who expressed shock and confusion at his decision to resign from the priesthood. "We thought you were following your calling," his sister questioned with a furrowed brow. "Was it really worth it?" "It was," he replied, conviction ringing in his voice. "I still believe in love, and I believe in living authentically. I want to create a family built on honesty and acceptance, and I can't do that while hiding. I hope you can understand." Throughout these conversations, he encountered varying degrees of acceptance and rejection, but ultimately he understood that he could not control others' reactions. His willingness to embrace both his past and present became a powerful lesson for those around him, as he witnessed the importance of vulnerability in seeking connection. It was clear that love, even amidst judgment, had the capacity to spark transformation, both for him and for the community around him. Though the path ahead was uncertain, he felt a renewed commitment to fostering acceptance and understanding. For the journey would be long and filled with challenges. He believed in the power of love to grow and heal. Daniel felt a mix of relief and pride, realizing that together they were beginning to dismantle the walls that had divided them. Reforming old beliefs and facing skepticism was no small feat, but the willingness of many in the congregation to engage in conversation offered hope. With this newfound openness, discussions of love, acceptance, and faith lingered long after the service ended. Daniel and Lily were not only changing the narrative of their relationship, but also challenging the community to redefine their understanding of faith and connection. At home that evening, Daniel and Lily sat together, quiet and reflective amidst the contentment of being on the same page. "I can feel things shifting," Daniel said, looking into Lily's eyes, which sparkled with the light of possibility. "Your presence gives me strength to confront the uncertainty ahead. Thank you for staying with me through all of this." "And thank you for being brave enough to speak your truth," Lily replied, feeling empowered by their shared experiences. "I knew you could touch hearts, and I believe we can continue to do so, together." As time passed, their relationship continued to deepen, and the bonds they forged with the community began to crystallize into real change. Gradually, dialogues shifted from gossip and criticism to discussions centered on compassion and empathy. Father Daniel became a figure of transformation, not only in his own life but in the lives of those around him. He began organizing workshops aimed at supporting discussions on acceptance and diversity within relationships, encouraging congregants to share their experiences, struggles, and journeys toward understanding. His courage to love openly became a foundation for new forms of connection. Hearts that once may have turned away were now seeking to embrace the complexities of love in all its forms. Their journey was not without challenges. There were still whispers and doubts, still moments where they felt the weight of society's expectations bearing down on them. However, each step forward brought them closer to a community that steadily learned to embrace authenticity. In time, Father Daniel came to realize that true faith is about more than simply adhering to doctrines. It's a commitment to love fiercely, to accept wholeheartedly, and to foster compassion for one another despite differences. As for Lily, she transformed from a woman marked by society's judgment into a testament of resilience and strength. Together, they became not just a couple but advocates for change, inspiring others to challenge their own perceptions of love and acceptance. And so this narrative unfolds, a tale of love that defied societal norms, authenticity that challenged expectations, and a community that slowly learned the power of acceptance. As we conclude this compelling journey, we are reminded of the complexities of trust, love, and the choices we make amidst adversity. Father Daniel and Lily have shown us that while paths may be fraught with struggle, embracing our truths can lead to moments of profound connection and growth. Their story encourages us to reflect on how easily we judge others based on societal labels and to recognize the courage it takes to stand up for love. In our pursuit of happiness, we must ask ourselves, how willing are we to confront our biases? How committed are we to fostering an environment where love can flourish without judgment? We invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you faced similar challenges in your own life? How did you navigate the complexities of love and societal expectations? Let's create a dialogue around these essential topics that touch us all. If you found this story inspiring, please subscribe to our channel for more tales that illuminate the human experience. We delve into unique narratives about love, redemption, and the struggle for acceptance within our communities.